My wife and I just purchased this property, which used to be my grandfather's. It's a beautiful lot. The main house needs a decent amount of work. It was built back in the 1970s and it was a little bit ahead of its time. It's called a Burm House. It was built into the side of the bank. So three of the walls are concrete and just the face is framed with windows. Our challenge and our dream is we are going to turn this into an Airbnb to help it pay for itself, and also this gives us an opportunity to have a house for our kids when they get older if they choose to live around here. So please follow along. We've got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of steps that we're going to be taking to turn this into a more aesthetic and just comfortable place to stay. One of the first tasks that we needed to tackle was kind of a time is of the essence sort of deal. We really had to make sure that we just got it done because this is Maine and it's starting to get cold. We're almost into November, and the first big task was making sure that the water wouldn't freeze over the winter. So we had to take a few steps. There's actually an old shack on top of the hill that the water ran from the well into that, and then from the shack all the way down to the main house. So where the shack isn't heated in the wintertime, we had to worry about the water freezing. Now the main house, the Burm House, the one that we're going to turn into the Airbnb, is actually insulated by the ground well enough so that in the wintertime it never gets below freezing. It actually stays about 45-50 degrees even in the coldest months of Maine. So the first step was digging a trench for the wire that goes all the way up to the well that's on top of the hill up there, so that when we put a new pressure tank in, we can have the well talk directly to the main house. Next, we had to dig a trench that intersects the old line that goes down to the main house down there, and then where the original line goes into the shack or cabin right there. So originally the water went into the cabin, into a pressure tank in there, and then out and around into this point right here. So what we had to do is basically bypass the shack and dig a trench so that we could splice the lines directly together, which I actually just accomplished today. And now I'm getting ready to run the cable that's going to go right from the wellhead here all the way down to the cabin or the main house. So the first thing I need to do when running the new wire is I need to get into the well cap and I need to disconnect the old wires that went to the original pressure tank so that we can feed the new wires up in there and run them down. Now the first thing you want to do is obviously make sure that your electricity is all disconnected, but this is really it. All we have to do is just take these wire nuts off, and then we will be able to pull this wire down through the bottom. There. And now we're all set with that. So the next step is going to be getting my plumber out here. He's a good buddy of mine. We're going to do it on an afternoon or weekend or something like that. Get the pressure tank in down at the main house. Get everything all hooked up. He's the professional, so he's actually going to hook all that stuff up when it comes to the wires and the pressure tank and all the really important stuff. I'm not going to tackle that. But anyway, that's the next step, and pretty soon we won't have to worry about draining the water in the wintertime, and we'll have that one thing that we can check off the list. Everything else is going to be all interior, and pretty soon I am going to give you a tour of the inside so you can see what that looks like, and we can go over some of the future plans for that. All right, everybody, we'll talk again soon.